You had an extra $500 a month to be able to put towards your mortgage. Should you? Would you? What are the results if you do? And is paying off your home early may feel like winning, but what if it actually triggers a loss? And it's a loss that you can't necessarily afford. I want to break down what that looks like. What would you do with an extra $500 a month if you were able to put that towards your mortgage and pay it down faster? Should you? And what's that impact? And so, as I kind of mentioned earlier, this is not logically, it makes sense. Hey, I've got an extra $500 in my pocket. Why wouldn't I pay off my mortgage early? And what if what we were taught was just really meant to keep us safe? And what we thought was keeping us safe was actually hurting us from a long-term perspective is kind of what we want to dig into. So I'll just jump right into the example. I'm going to introduce you guys to John. 40 years of age. He just purchased a $300,000 mortgage at 5%. And he's got, again, an extra $500 to be able to put away. The question is, what should he do? Should he pay off his mortgage or should he invest it? Or is there an opportunity to do a little bit of both? I don't know. And again, for those of you who have spent some time with us, this answer probably won't surprise you, but there's been a lot of back and forth on our other channel as it relates to why this is a bad idea, why not paying off your mortgage is a bad idea. I've been called a lot of names over the last week or so. So bottom line is we want to kind of dig into what that looks like. And so in just simple math terms, a $300,000 mortgage at 5% causes about $279,000 in interest. So in essence, we're buying two homes if we just continue the normal payment of $500 a month. Don't believe me? I'll show you what a $300,000 mortgage at an interest rate of 5% will do for you over time. So again, $300,000 mortgage, 5%, and I got to put the extra in there, so that's good. And what does that look like over time? Again, in total, you would have paid about $579,000 in total for this home. The $300,000 home plus an additional $279,000 in interest. Who wants to sign up for that? Like, at what point and at what play does that make sense? Does that mathematically make sense? And I hear you, it doesn't. So what if you were able to take the extra funds that you have, if you had an additional $500 a month to apply to this mortgage and reduce this number? Because, we've all been taught to beat the banks. Why would I not put extra money towards my mortgage so that I can beat the bank? Okay. And here's his goal. John's goal is to pay that extra $500 towards his mortgage. It's going to knock 12 years off his mortgage. And he's going to save himself some interest. And in addition, I'll kind of go over what the mortgage payment is currently and what the mortgage payment would become. But the bottom line is, this is the action. I'm going to pay my home off early. I'm going to save myself some interest. I'm going to beat the bank. I'm excited about that. I'm going to take this weight of this home off my shoulders. And then I'm going to put that cash flow to work. And so I just want to make sure we understand what that looks like. So again, we've got a $1,600 a month mortgage payment. And when we add an additional $500 per month, and again, these aren't my numbers. This is straight off calculator.net. So my point is, you can join along with me and just verify what I'm saying is true. If we put an additional $500 a month onto this mortgage, what does that look like? Well, again, it's the same mortgage payment of $1,600 a month, but notice what happens. In total, instead of $579, in total it ends up being about $347. And the savings, because of that extra payment, I am between what it would have cost had I extended this mortgage for 30 years, because I paid it off early, I am saving in interest somewhere around $124,000. And just so we're clear, how long does it take to pay the mortgage off? How about 18 years versus 30? Wins all the way around. My extra $500 went to work. My extra $500 allowed me to pay my home off early. It saved me $124,000 in interest. Like, tell me where the problem is located. Well, if you remember where we started, John is 40 years of age. If it takes him 18 years to pay off his mortgage, John is now 58. Now, I'm not saying that this is the only vehicle John has to carry himself into retirement, But can we agree? 18 years is a long time. And my challenge is simply, what could that $500 have done during those 18 years versus going into the mortgage? Because during this 18-year period, the mortgage payment didn't change. So we're not saying that he couldn't make his mortgage payment. He's adding extra to it to pay off the mortgage faster. Awesome. But what if he didn't? So he knocked 12 years off the mortgage by putting that extra $500 on. He saved himself $124,000 in interest. And now his cash flow just increased, meaning he no longer has a mortgage payment of $1,600 a month. He was putting $500 a month onto his mortgage, $1,600 plus $500 a month. He now has cash flow of $2,100. So what if, or at age 58, no longer having a mortgage, but I've got an additional cash flow of $2,100, what if he put that $1,200 to work? And in John's plan, it's all about, hey, I'm feeling great about no longer having a mortgage. Now it's time to invest this $2,100. And again, after 18 years, he's 58 years of age. Where's he putting it? Where's that $2,100 a month going? And what is it doing for him? But the bottom line is we're still going to finish out these 30 years. In a normal 30-year mortgage, it would have gone from age 40 up to age 70. He's now 58. And for the next 12 years, he's going to get this $2,100 a month compounding for the next 12 years with an objective of, hey, 70, I'm calling quits. 70, I'm going to ride out into the sunset. I'm going to head off to that beach. I'm going to achieve my WTF moment, and I'm going to retire. So the objective is, hey, I need to, for the next 18 to 30 years, I need to put that $2,100 a month to work. And so what does that look like? Well, if we're talking traditional market vehicles, it can start out with just simply a brokerage account. What if he got that $2,100, so not at year 5, not at year 10, but right around year 18, got that brokerage account started with the $2,100 a month and invested it? How would that perform over time in doing so? Just slide back over the calculator, I'll show you. So this is just simply an investment calculator. This is not the Vanguard calculator that breaks down how a secure compound or how an IRA or 401k works. But if he was to just simply take that $2,100 and get it compounding for the next, 12 years?
Yep.
And I am saying a 8% return. If you were to Google it, you'd find that the market returns are somewhere between 6 and 10. So I'm trying to give a benefit of the doubt of 8. Is 8 realistic? We can have that argument, but I think I'm being pretty generous here. Pretty generous with a 8% return for the next 12 years on that $1,200 a month. What does that equate to? What are the end results? We're talking about $500,000 in, I'll call it in a $500,000 investment account size at the end of that 12-year period. So, okay. Let's see, anything else? Nope. Okay, so let's slide back over to the slide, sweetheart. So investing that $2,100 a month for the next 12 years would give him a portfolio size of about $500,000. And again, now he's 70 years old. He's headed into retirement. As I mentioned, this is just a simple brokerage account, taking $2,100 and dumping it into a brokerage account. What would that do? Well, once he hits this $500,000 inside that brokerage account, there may be some capital gains impact, but we're not even going to dig into that. The moral of the story is he's got $500,000 ready to go to work. And what we have here is the impact of time. And this is time that he can't get back. So what if that same $2,100 actually went into a qualified account? And from a logic perspective, you can't put $2,100 into an IRA. You can't. Cannot put $2,100 a month into an IRA because the max is $7,000 and $8,000. You can't. But what if you could, is my point. What if you could take this $2,100 and dump it into a Roth IRA? You would have more money in that Roth IRA than the investment account that we just showed. So you would have more, as in you would have $580,000, and that's $580,000 tax-free inside of a Roth IRA. And again, let me restate. The max you can put in is $8,000 a year at his age. He would not be able to put $2,100 a month in. But let's just say the world changed and he could. If that was the case, that $2,100 would translate using the same numbers of a qualified account, about $580,000. And when it's time for him to start taking income, he's going to be impacted by that infamous safe withdrawal rate coming out of a qualified account, which equates to about $23,000 a year in income. Is that enough? And again, it's tax free. Is that enough? And I love this piece. This is $23,000 in today's dollars. Again, this entire strategy has gone from age 40 to age 70. We are 30 years in the future. Will this $23,000 be worth the same dollar amount as it is today? Well, the math says no. So is this enough? Would you want more money to be able to compound for you? And again, I get the logic, but he's going to last 12 years with no mortgage. He doesn't have to worry about whether or not his home will or won't be taken from him. Like, I understand the value here, but at some point, we're going to stop trading our time for money. At some point, we're going to be focused on the next stage of our life, because and our largest asset isn't our home. Our actual largest asset at this moment, at this point in time, is time. And how we use that time matters. So time is the one thing that we cannot get back once it's gone. So waiting till 18 years after your mortgage has been paid off to then dump $2,100 a month into a vehicle, whether it's a non-qualified vehicle or a qualified vehicle, translates to something that I don't see as being enough. Again, whether you're investing in a regular brokerage account or moving those funds into a Roth IRA, again, I would call these two comparable. And one is taxable, one is tax-free. Pick your poison. The moral of the story is this enough? Especially when you take into consideration the standard Trinity study or the 4% rule around how much you can safely remove from your qualified dollars to be able to sustain your lifestyle. 18 years after your mortgage has been paid off to then dump $2,100 a month into a vehicle, whether it's a non-qualified vehicle or a qualified vehicle, translates to something that I don't see as being enough.